We permit Zuki. Pande Singyong Mije Kewan Opsan Singachone. Songtsen Nanyu. It is my honor to request Tibetan political leader Sikyong Dr. Lobsang Sengala to deliver his speech.
Laje Sishi Zuge Jigden Shide Debe Kamsum Chugi Gebo Pimi Lana Mebuti Jino Konsa Jamge Chimbuchola Kuja Gundu Tangwe Gone Gamne Gendugide Changarigi Guru Chidunamani and Ananshi Minnesota Tube Chidun Soba Shenkagi Songtsen the number Sishuba Suba number down Bima number Samala numberless Shui Jino Konsa Jamgun Chimbucho Tiring Minnesota Gi Purichidin Sobegi LOSAR Zego Sogoendu Chibju Kadi Yangwani Hajangi Gawasangbujimbata Kube Gashata Shiji Pimi Yongi Tsepshu de Konsa Jamgun Chimbuchola Gade Tusum Gone Samdi Deshli Shujutan Gokam Sangbo Tan Danashi Tugong Malun Hungidube Mundu Shugda Shugui Konsa Cho Zamling Chi Yong La Nireda Dare Loreche Zedin Geru Dugu Yore Dana Shin Pe Mirigi Mawong Dulamda Tega Jabacha Yungore Zamling Cho Kangsa Pebe Ineya Konsa Chola Tegur Sigur Singe Mangur Dugu Yobata Nyewe Chane Arisinzi Obama Choda Konsa Cho Jende Nankap Arisinzi Obama ne Ume Lamla Kyabje Zopa Rinpoche Podankabo Sargo Seda Nala Kase Goyebre Tadi Hajangi Keshimbre Shuayi Danashi Zamling Kansar Pebe Neya Pimi Yosa de Minnesota Zube Shijaka Sajaka Kawacha Neya Natabu Ineya Shijaka Mangcheda Zamlichi Yong Pebe Yosal Jaya Kukab Chungsu Saneka Sangmala Konsa Chola Tegur Sigur Danashi Mimang Nala Simshu the Hasam Kibetone Chadunyam de Nangudu Shuayi Adana she mixe Chogachulu Lungze Yeme Tone Pechiba the Zadun Tundala Shabju Shuagi Bezun Ched Chimiresha Mixe Konsachogi Chepsi Guanang Sabe Jesu Mimane Ginkur Chebe Tone Chepsi Toleneya Kodore Dana Shin Zadun La Shabju Shuade Ditone and Kongbe Dudu Sheje Yesan Shuayi Ineya the Lopam Benizula Toge the Debetone Eneja Pimin Yungshe Chigi Chigi Miri Yungshe Chigi Mongde the Dache Control Semishuag Bezu Chimire Control Toge the Debetone Kalob Lamdo Nayandi Nangbasangi Bichu Yang Tabati Kandi Imekone Kalob Lamdo Nangore 다나시 Lama-Da 로마니 버룰라 탐지 짱모 고기여베 거네 갈롭람도 난그 요르 마도 지익베 최대 라와 다 아니 제가 요 말에 제제 낸된 토니 쉐이 아다나시 야가데 어리 기 송접기 사회 년도 나라 공서초 구자다 되게 대바유베 거네 세부고 요리디 참에 툴라냐베 토네 뒤닥도 아니 긴군나로나 제슈야이 가샤네 토님베 이네야 디토라 로접 침부유 예베네즈 중고디게라 로퍼미야유 탑조부시라레 제제 슈야인디 송자 미망지 용네 도나나야다 긴군나야 신두 개침부레 제제 슈야이 다들 다른데 LOSAR 니모 미니소럴 자야라바 다나시 변할 비미 실루 소임베 이내야 공주초라 터직도 아니 대구르츠구르 예베 토네 수자체비 류소 이내 르당체 공주초 별라 딘디 슈구두 셰체 쿠란주 응원대 슈구열에 디 루비아 체도 만주 상매 도즈 직디 토네 항상 남다 토네 찰레나 신도 개침부레 셰체 쉐이 데시들레 On behalf of the Tibetan people, I would like to extend LOSAR greetings to our guest here, Honorable Congressman and the Mayor of Minneapolis. This year is the Year of the Horse, which represents strength and swiftness and efficiency. May this year bring you, and in your term, also strength and swiftness and efficiency in your work and in your life. Thank you very much.
Zerim Dimba Mise Kundu Ari Tuzo Tumi Jamku Betty McCallum Chone Sungshen Nangyu. Our next speaker is Congresswoman Betty McCallum. Serving in her 7th term, she is one of the most reliable friends of Tibet and was one of the co-sponsors of the Tibet Policy Act, which calls on the Chinese government to end its crackdown in Tibet and enter into a substantive dialogue with His Holiness the Dalai Lama to find a negotiated solution. Congressman McCallum, some of our community leaders fondly recall you and your staff sincerely stepping out of your office to greet them during the Tibet Lobby Day. We really appreciate your warm welcome to our leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Representative Betty McCallum.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so pleased to be here with you to celebrate LOSAR, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and our Minnesota Tibetan community. Your Holiness, welcome to Minnesota. The weather is cold, but as you can tell, our hearts are so filled with warmth for you. Well, you have said goodbye to the old year, and you are starting the new year. And Your Holiness, your presence here is so historic for all of us who are gathered. So allow me to congratulate the Tibetan American Federation of Minnesota for organizing and hosting today's very special event. And thank you, President Yam Yal Noryi, for your work. And I want to take just a second to thank all the wonderful people who have performed for us today. The choreography, the music, it was beautiful. The chanting I could feel in my heart. And to our translator who has been leading us through today, thank you so very much. The Federation is the heart of the Tibetan community here in Minnesota, and they have done important work in promoting education and social services to support the community's children and families. It has been exciting for me to watch the thousands of Tibetans practice and preserve your beautiful culture and traditions, while also becoming new Americans and contributing so much to Minnesota. I am proud to represent the Tibetan Minnesotans in the United States Congress along with Mr. Ellison to work to advance the issues that are so important to you. And I know, as it was pointed out, that His Holiness was recently in Washington, D.C., and I was so very happy and proud to see President Obama and His Holiness had the opportunity to meet. Next time Your Holiness is in Washington, D.C., Mr. Ellison and I would very much like to extend greetings to meet with all of us in the Congress, but especially from former Speaker Nancy Pelosi. We have much to learn from your wisdom and teachings. In a world that is filled too much with violence, too much poverty, and too much suffering, people all around the world, especially political leaders, have much to learn from the teachings of His Holiness. Our children, all of our children, deserve a better world filled with more peace, more hope, and more opportunity. And that is what I pray for, and that is what we all must work for towards this new year. Your Holiness, your commitment to peace for the world, especially for the Tibetan people, is inspiring. To bring about peace, we must do more. It is especially true when we pray for the people of Tibet. The people of Tibet, including all of you in exile, have suffered far too long and far too much. It is my hope to continue to work with the Tibetans across Minnesota and the world to one day bring about a free Tibet, of violence, free of religious persecution, free of political and cultural oppression. In other words, let us all work together for a Tibet that is as peaceful as the Tibetan people. So today, as we celebrate LOSAR, let us begin in our own lives to work to make lives of all of our brothers and sisters around the world one of more hope and more peace. Thank you for inviting me to share this very, very special moment and extraordinarily special opportunity with you. Goodbye to the old year and enjoy celebrating the new year. Your Holiness, thank you for honoring us with your presence, your blessing, and thank you for including those of us outside of the Tibetan community.
Representative McCallum, thank you very much for your kind words and encouraging. Zerim Geba, Shem Mixe Kunde, Ari Trisong, Tumi, Kushap, Keith Ellison Chane, Sungshe Nanju. It is my honor to introduce Representative Keith Ellison. He is the first Muslim to be elected in Congress in 2007. He represents the 5th Congressional District, which includes the city of Minneapolis and the surrounding suburbs, where majority of the Tibetan live. He has always been receptive to appearances requests for our major events, including International Human Rights Torch Relay and the Tibetan Parliament in Exile organized Flame of Truth Global Torch Relay, which highlighted the critical situation in Tibet. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Representative Keith Ellison.
LOSAR la tash DELEK. Thank you so much for allowing us to come and join with you in your wonderful New Year celebration. I would like to thank His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, for bravely coming to Minnesota during one of the coldest and snowiest winters ever. It's a great honor to have you here to spend the first LOSAR outside of India here in Minnesota. We are deeply honored. Your Holiness, you have taught the world how to peacefully stand up for justice and to stand against intolerance. We're very grateful for that lesson. Thank you for sharing your time with us. I also would like to extend a warm thank you to Namgyal Dorji for the Tibetan American Foundation of Minnesota and for all of the hard work and planning for this wonderful event. Thank you very much. Also, I was so honored to hear the wonderful message of your Prime Minister in exile, Mr. Lobsang Sangay. Thank you for your words, sir. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. I know that you and your fellow members of Parliament and the Parliament of Exile are doing wonderful work for the people of Tibet, and you are following the example of His Holiness in peacefully pressing the legitimate and just claims of the Tibetan people. Thank you for that work. Now, I must say, and I quite agree with my dear friend Betty McCullum, that it is absolutely essential that all people across the globe stand against injustice wherever they happen, whether they are near or whether they are far. We have to stand together for justice, and it can never be that only the Tibetan people are standing up for justice for Tibet. We have to stand together as a world community for justice, because all human beings deserve to be treated with dignity and respect by their government, regardless of the color of their skin or the religion that they practice or the language that they speak or their culture that they have. All human beings must be given dignity. And it is time for the Chinese government to accept and respect religious differences and cultural differences. And I stand and will forever proclaim my belief that the Chinese government needs to open up direct dialogue with Tibetan leaders and to be open to the idea of an autonomous Tibet. And as I begin to take my seat, I simply want to tell you that no level of intimidation will ever cause us to stand away from you. We'll be standing next to you, no matter who doesn't like it, because you are pursuing justice and a righteous cause. Thank you to His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, for joining with us today and for your leadership throughout this entire world. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Allison. And thank you, Representative Betty McCullum. Tibetan in Minneapolis, Tibetan in Minnesota have been and will always support you both, Congresswoman McCullum and Congressman Ellison. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, give a big applause to both of them. Zerim Guba, Ari Minneapolis Tonge, Chikap Jamgu Betsy Hodges Chone, Thirin Kinimo Tishin, Konsa Jamgun Chimpo Chogi, Shidedang, Chamzi Nimoshe, Shungdeki Dakdam Proclamation, Yongda Nangyu. I request newly elected Mayor of City of Minneapolis, Betsy Hodges, to read the proclamation declaring Tibetan New Year Day as the Dalai Lama's Day of Peace and Compassion. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor of City of Minneapolis, Betsy Hodges.
LOSAR latash DELEK. I have here some words from this on behalf of the City of Minneapolis as mayor. But first, I would like to thank you, Your Holiness, for being here with us today, for joining us. I would like to thank all of you for being here and your commitment to peace around the world. And I would also, before I read from the City of Minneapolis, like to extend from my heart personally my support to you, Your Holiness, and my support to the Tibetan community as we seek peace and justice around the world for all people. And from my heart, I offer you, Your Holiness, my love, and I offer all of you my love as a people. Whereas Tibetans around the world are celebrating LOSAR, the Tibetan New Year, to preserve and promote the Tibetan culture and identity. And whereas the City of Minneapolis shines as the center of the Tibetan world today. And whereas on this auspicious occasion, we are graced with the presence of an extraordinary man, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama Tenzin Gyatso, a great man who humbly considers himself a simple Buddhist monk. And whereas this simple Buddhist monk, who is the spiritual leader of the Tibetan people, lives his life guided by three major commitments: the promotion of basic human values, the fostering of interreligious harmony, and the welfare of the Tibetan people. And whereas His Holiness is a greatly honored spiritual figure, revered, treasured, and loved throughout the world for his powerful teachings on nonviolence, tolerance, and forgiveness. And whereas the city of Minneapolis recognizes His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama as a true champion of world peace, interreligious harmony, and a beacon of love and compassion. And whereas human rights in Tibet must be of concern for all justice-loving people, who must call on the government of China to end its crackdown on Tibetans and enter into substantive dialogue with His Holiness the Dalai Lama to find a negotiated solution to protect the fundamental human rights of Tibetans. And whereas the city of Minneapolis supports the struggle of Tibetan people and all people for their rights, including economic, social, cultural, civic, and political rights. Now, therefore, I, Betsy Hodges, Mayor of the City of Minneapolis, joyfully welcome His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet and hereby proclaim March 2nd, 2014, Tibetan New Year Day as His Holiness the Dalai Lama Day of Peace and Compassion in the City of Minneapolis, a day dedicated to creating acts of kindness and connection between all people and communities. Signed by me, the Mayor of Minneapolis.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hodges. Zerimchuwa Chang Ari Pimi Chidu Tashi Namjel La Chone Pandem Pimi Ma Chidu Lenzo Ki Tsokzu LOSAR Ki Sungjin Nyendu Shuju LOSAR greeting message from the Speaker of the Tibetan Parliament in exile to be read by the North American Tibetan Parliament representative, Mr. Tashi Namgyal. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tashi Namgyal.
Laja si sujin kamsum chu jabo zamli shidi teben chembo pemi yongje landa mepe udi jino konsa jamgo chembo chola gosum kuba chembo laja tame ngun tangte rabje singda namlo sa she rangshe sa du shebe gatun ji chonggun du shabso ngun bar ko bar jangari pemi yongje sabshude kadnilami chue shuju. On behalf of the Tibetan American community of North America, I would like to wish happy LOSAR and extend greetings to Tibetan political leader Dr. Losang Singye, U.S. Congress, U.S. Representative Betty McCollum, Keith Ellison, and the Mayor of the City of Minneapolis for your wonderful proclamation. And all those all those representatives gathered from here across North America today. Jina konsa jamgun chembu choki kui songwa song la ngechen tamu zang mago bar tuji shegong tada lunji drobatan shiji ni snebe jaji pyori bunda yongla namlo satsel samdi tashi dele showatan chapji shilu pyumin joa mebe la samtan nindobla kogop di june iran kugu shujuni. Gamba pyumin ma jidun lan sochi bandin sozu choki losar chetsewe songtin nindun shujur. Jino konsa jamgun chimo cho ari ngadi Minnesota pöjelo nidong jadi shibchi ramne singda lo namlo sat shebe gat jetun zego chonggun to shabje pemu ko number ko bandini gombocho changari kud chibyu yang changnan zeyo chang changari kud pöje namlo sa she jetun zego chibju karin chang ba tarin thing tangbor son gosung raw ko pömi ma jidun lan so ji choju shiji pömi yong ji chapshue de laja thome da je Gade tosum jinga samdi tashi dele shujun. Tin pyo nagin zara netan zu, pyo dan pyomi netan hajan netan chebe dugam dere, shiji pyomi yongji dongshu jigdi nga, jinor konsa jamgun chenpo choke, mao ngunsi ji labchi gongshi tar, pyo dun denta nyut setup che, pyo ji le dun shugo kanji, loyang su ma sumbe, nushu nga lan dun na yongwe, mbogu shuju je, pyo mima jidu, chozu, Pöjelo nidong jadi sheji ramne singda le Buddha Dharma ce jingnian saja je pö. Sho de ce jingni jingnian den shujur. Janaki Perla Punju Cheban Song, Debe Milu Tuju Hatsam, Ring, Per Jacob Tensi Mirida Cheber, Lojuna Matabe, Kocha Chembo Chung Yona Yang. Tabar Pergi Churi Junzin Toba Mase, Jejina Perji Nemba Lorishin, Zancho Suju Shemba Che, Gombo Tuji Techinchi, Chambe Garden, Pumbu Chisi, Changju Nimbo La Marriage Par, Sapkanang. Daja Nam Jung Gombo Chogi Garden Nam Yila Tensin, Le Shugu, Le Dun Tada, Gagong Game, Shuju, Pumi, Jo Nam Den Yonki, Ungim Yin. Tetana on Pumi Resongi, Manzu Kawan Lons Jekuji, Jumsen Tang Nguyu Nitsu Kanlaya, Martin Pe Dondo Natsoji, General Consa Jangun Chambu Chola, Tubam Junshi Nitsun Chongwa Namla, Susu Yongwe, Sonde Shuju Tang, Le Jang, Rawan Maju, Lons Chojan, Junsen Dembe, Jedurji Doling Mepper, Shime Tamche Lango Corne, Perchi Keben La Nushin, Jume, Namchu Dempa, Nangoba Kechewa, Yin Talam, Kokam Di Jone, Jachi Mansola, Rekushun Juyin. Teshin, Nyachar Toje Jendama Nyungshi Ji, Dembe Netsu Chishin Mato Para, Shense Jenanji, Gogo Kembe Cheba So, Janaki Gundun Dube Chawa Samta, Som Shemba Diri La, Rancha Pumitsu, Isab Dembar Dongle, Sushi Chegoba, Kechi Nengu Shuji. Kondu Tsozu Chogi Sundena, Sumba Shen, Pernange Tata, Zada, Chichin Roshen Bateni, Natsu Semta Chegoba Nedun, Kechishu Deni. Natsu Zenjul de Yobe Pumi, Tsu, Lingu Chechung Chindashi, Penang, Samlunang, Shilu Pumi Tsu, Gadu Nyonshin Benetante, Tengoba Le, Sosu Chapsi Tadutan, Langcho Corner, Go Court Shubaina, Kacho Nova, Dosibe, Yankayo. Perji Ganyo Seto La Tabla, Nyajini, Jana Shunda, Tumuche, the setup te Yimbatan. Loju Top her and the Yimba, Jemiji Netsu Shina, Jeji Jabjotan, Uyu Netsu, Kanla Jejan, Tablan Tele, De Cho Yimba, Natsu Nishi Nyechun. Ume Lam, Tablan Ju, Perjani, Tumuche, the Puri Yongla, Mindun Sombe Ransi, Ranjung, and never she. Siju Teni, General Consa Jangu Chembu Choki, Yishi in Ling Jeje, Lamdo Nangwa Shik, Yemba Mase, Permi Machitu Land Sochi, Ten La Pabi, Siju Ji, Lamdun Shik Jani. Talam de Tensu Shuguba Shila, Perdun Denta, set up Ji Nedun Te, Tacha Zada, Nyantangi Tuzu, Jigla Le Yoba, Yobe, Permi Yonji Nubate, Choji the Pontuba, Kechebe, Bukushuju Yin. Teyan Je Kontan Rimbuche, Shuman Tuna Dadi, Tuga Sozo Chena Menche, Sumba Shen, Pumi Lengu Nuba Chazan, Perdun Denta Sataji Cho, La Pongoba Ni, Zadaji Gogoshi Chayoba, Jeshi, Shuchimbutoni, Shunduchon. Tadu, Daja Donsho Tabu Sondena, Kanjin Gombo, Tenzin Jasoi, Gutse Mishi, Gaja Shaptin, Jen, Shendun Lungi Doba, Change Lob, She, Sowa Dev Shue Gone, General Consa Jangun Chimbocho, Gutse Tenchin, Zetin Jabatan, Perdun Denta, New to Sene, Shuji Pumi Nam, Yamzon Yu Mundu Shuji, Tuchena.
Chena Congotation General Consa Jangun Chimbochone, Langdo Galup, Gadinze Yu. Now it is my honor and joyous privilege to request His Holiness the Great 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet to address the audience.
That's the Tanganzo Tape Mangzu, the Vudu Lamne, the Jimu Gitane, the Pebe, and the Sillon, the LOSAR Singla Ube, and the Pumi, she Chida Sanek, she Timizure, and then she can do number share. Any Sergeant Mema Genji, and then Dubazoda, and then a Mixi, the Pava Shazada, Chick Dembe Kyabje, 학성 닝도부터네 엔데 청아 패배 자도 어리쳐서 더 팀에다가 종지기다 지켜주는 장수대 패버서도 마세베 송시나 엔다가 종지 그 들이안듯이 시디님들의 사단한체 엔 투시시 슈기 엔다 비미 설자 말아서 다가다 뒤대봐 아니 그냥 좀 모임배 에다가 지 점리 라옹롱버 지카 망구식 나라 비미의 전조체 카토시 대야래 디드 삼을라래 아니 로사가 섬들의 슈이 에머시 자가 섬에 디디 로사 차차르 나도 이미지 슈고 대야래 애들 변한 게 비밀 로사 땅에서 로사 차차르 건수사고 디데 로사 담에 가도 나도 대니니 해세대대요 자 가다다 제 비밀 주남대 지금 3월이야 엔터리 그거 디스임제 3월이야 참지슈고요 엔 대도 접지 나라도 비밀세네 표 강점바 세야디 장가다 먹게 말해 지금 사야 주든지 말이다 사야 주든지 레디네 소소 술세기 이기여다 이기디 타라 다 들이켜서 뭐에 내줄이야 지 산제베 최디 점물이 디간게 다 지출로 좀 세지 처리하래 다 점물이 디간을 메다 추규得住门照有的吧거로지야래 다 디디 창물하게 지금 참바다 아니 자와 아니 쏴봐 촉시 아니 릉침 송야 사리 출루 상물하게得住门照야래디 이네 럽저디 상물 찍고도 와 자다 산제비 저기 가다다 점물링이다 추주 떠주 예배 추주 도시디다 직주지기 간다 참바도 저 서버로서 일이 냠는지아도 조이 말이 다 떠주부터 하네 다 산제비 저디 야지 또 준전을 삼다디 캐시무 슈스 용기하래 자장가 점대대는 이게 지 준전을 때네 다 운동내리 그 고반지 이해받아 운동내리 그 고반데 두야데 심규기 애는 내가도 터두기 몽바 머리바 너나 랜저는 뭐 머리바다 대코나니는 뭐 머리바 치르도 남지 싫어부터 하네 세데 도스는다 내가 운동도 터두게를 두야지기 드리송돼야 해. 자자가 몸에 멤버 세세야디 싫어도 남지기 싫어부터 하는 세야를 마도 대바도 넘어지고 그세도야 야 말해. 자 드리지기다 주주지 차되기도 와. 자 드리면 인도산에 드리켜서 전문에 되가라 지금 산제에 처리야 지금 토나 청에 다 지마 로되기야 해. 자 드리 인도산에 드리지기 뒤줄이야 나란조 패배 이기 나라라 산제베 떠주고 거래야 딱 뭐냐 지금 대세 배 날랜데 캬버즈 광고 여대버지 차상시 나도 벽에 나라 대세 좀 투야시도가 디터리께서 전부리 디가라 게이 자자 동자 요래디 진정 배 날랜데 취규 지다 사고를 지금 떠주고 어디디 대세 차상 거지 신배토하는 리셋교태야 벽에 지고를 마도 신기 수직무도 봐. 제가도 별 미리기 오늘 지금 뽑아지 하시르샤. 아니 가서 미리기 지금 라소르디 산제베 최기 지금 선바상구 최고야. 창구 최고야. 균제 방배 최고야. 디디 다 산예배 최고 럽죠. 가도 별이야 레니 배배 지속이 kum시로 거라 지금 삼바상고 최고야. 무슨 순제 쏘리야. 아니 차원미지야. 아주 배배 kum시를 이해돼 보시거다. 자, 전에 인도산에 가나도 더리 뒤주대 가다 배 자신매만 아주 다 시지 수수이네. 가나 상월로다 뷰리시 인신절라 가나서로다 게이지 로스여바다 게이디 나로라 산제베 최지도 하고 떠루고 디디 차상 드세자기 게이 점는 대강기 게이다 차상 드세주야 배배 게인 디코나 이미지 다 장면 씹어채제 아니 된제가 다 게이 롱제게 가서 뷰리 수수 뽑아쳐야지다 뭐냐라 지금 순범에 배터네 다 가다 강에 그릇이 차베이네 담배 남네 아니 강에 드세트야게 아주 균세 열라 아니 뽑아채제 다 가다 심수 많이 맞춰고야 돼. 시작해서 뭐래. 내가 넘니 되어서 나도 타마디 전주와 차이도 전에 뭐시면 남도 살지. 타마면 먹고지 몇서 말이죠. 아니 나도 다 무술이죠. 다 되지 로 지금 십중거주 10회시고 근저 정도 많이 써야 돼. 다음에 꼭줄 10회시 다 근저 전용 3회 남라셔고 알지래. 이나양 안한솔로 담배 여배 인도산에 그 담배 누버서야 돼. 파 멍구치베 거둘라. 예로야 찍다. 파 수드야지 매버리. 작주의 것하네. 아니 지금 랭구 그러신 분이네. 그 최시 누버서부샤 요래마도 포기하는 것이네. 거기 갈리야 지금 미상원 셔로야 지금 용되기도 봐. 다투스 차와매배 남는 때네 완전 자네기 지금 담배 균생을 통하네 탑 배수시야 승에 탑시 때 승에디 그 로치송기 그 누버디 처럼 마시네 그 예야 매배지 뭐 사버리셔. 당 아차잖아. 통만 아주 잔줄이 연배 거도 올라. 런치 섭시. 당한다로 다 뒤주 등교 참여를 되기요. 롱지위는 할람다 계주도 알리기요. 아니 아주 잔줄 차내다 롱업주 할람다 어주 냥을 냐어지 차되기요. 다 뒤진기도 냠용 초동으로 제윤데 담바싱을 되라 네버지에 되봐. 나도 된대기 그게 담배 탑주 제하게 쌀에 심수다 닝도디 상제베 떠주고 터네 연구여다 봐. 디도 삼 코인도산에 뭐네 아주 별 미리기 소수 단단 저버 정도 마세베 점리 찔레 강성기 샴디 죽토야지기 아주 누버여다 버지다 뽑아여다 버지 패지리 다 레벨로 뭐좀 아랑게 냠용구 터네 초동 제윤들 점불링을 그거 하상체에 참바도 짜와도 쇠바세야 디디 산제베 최고 터네 대세 겹유도 전에 믹스에 껴넣지다 탈바도 탐색해 봤어요. 군조도 된저기 이지 매대게 미지네 공의 내주기 난 삼류 캐스 터네 생비 디지 주당 생비 디지를 때는 류 대당 주야 김상 대당 주야 지속 대당 주야 최사다 점리 매만 동주 등주지여야 돼. 디디기다 가다지 생비 디지 주야다 지속 디지 주야다 자여야 되지다 탑람 람든 제대야지기 내주 쳐도와 자 신내배 땅 알아 차잖아. 에네 강심버지래. 엔다 별 강심이 좋은게 에네 배 날린다는 기회 취기디디 지시버지도 신기매디 갈아가서 로좀 제제 용대야래. 로좀 제바서도 마세베 그 니디 소소 니리니리 Songtsen now, Didi, Tawaletiari. D. Gambe, Nara Kelshashane, one is she, Gang Runzingbe Trene, so simply shitty, simply hatching. So, Dang another Moshimo Monguchi, Chete Megan. There's a Monguchi, other Kandachi, Zamni Chilla, Pig Paya Gi, Takandachi, Lot Junked up the Chi, Manzuta, Sanje Shumanalane, the Yerosua. And it's from there Rangi, come the Meva the Tuni, Sunju Nangi Mado, Uzu Jenny. Did easy Shawar Sumidua. Saturday in the thing of the Permirigi, when a chicken, LOSAR Chirella, or Permirigi Poverty Ajire, or that day in the third day LOSAR. She some to share day, Zozo, the church out honey. Church sending chick, Nausanchi day, Malam Tibetaro, chick, Dabadaro, D. Chigokis Mari, Debi Yaure, Milpengiari, Shy Yaure. In a Zozo, the Sanje Vichus looked similar to Jutan Chigi. Don't do the pacification with the one. Saturday into Sane, that Teria and the LOSAR, Temji, Rochadi, and then I'll tell you on the count of the Dagasanegi, count of any Pupomo. Council, Manguchi, there and the Shana Tubche, on the Chagasungi, because more turn to Yak, Council de Shabro Tubche, Shaya Chongson, Pesce, not the chances you ever could the Council pass I gave a Pesce, Munaz is a Pesce diary. Dear, you kept sound of Chigri. She Nam's house is a year in the shower to the Rebbe Moon. I shot a Galakaya service. Did Nam Tanguna Yaurusimi. So, Eddie, Gadabi Child did the Yaksha Jansha. You could have that chair song and two shits again. In terms of and Bogdo Kang Kasha Bogdo, Dergun Lesha, and the Amdu and the Asha Kang Chans of Bethel, Ashama Juroma Lesha, Asha Tergun Yakush, Chans Holalia, and it two shits ski, and it that also Lonishu, long of Jungadana, that mirror Jedu Yari. That other Gamma Jagane and worship with Chans of Manguchi, that poor more chache, that Are Po Chagorella, that also worship of Manguchi, poor more chache. Namunga, Jagal, Toma, as a motion of Shiva Kudu, Tansan to the Teddy, that Tericasa, Porto Morto Casha, Labe Chasa de Shadisha, Luni did Chimbere. Ready in a chance of Pugu, Didi, Pimitundu, Giga, the chance of Nyasar Cheche, Taur Cheche, Dua, Sharayaure, a chance of Shenji, Chance Samolo. That Pavashi Imbe Dushi Tane, so Povachia. Pavashi Imbe Dushi Tane, Yerabchia. Samba Namdachia. Godi Chenju, Gilzin, Mervin, Hamba, Didemachia. The big Hashimuri, just one. They can't some of the job. And the third day, I teach dance, same dish don't in some chance. I don't name in the Chada Mas in the Chipuya. That's Semji Chigina, Nareman Shashane, Nindarish, that's Semji Sa Mongolingi. Halam Sa, the Judan Pashing a Lingi. So country Shivakadula. Saturday in Dusane, Maranam, so dear, Semji Yam Chigare, San in Chanzu 3 day, Losagi, Sengu de Chiganzo Tangone, Chig, Temdicha, Trashi. Sag Trashi DELEK Sag Trashi Sadi any Trashi Kunji Trashi for Tagwa Trashi Yara Son Cheni Trashi is Momukusayore Mundo Drube Trashi Nelin Drube Trashi Sada Gare Monguchi Lola Yuatane Lo Santo Jebe Rimena Lolia any Trashi Sa quite Ligua Saturday in doing the Trashi Sadi Chaman Sashi was Oro any LOSAR Gromada 미시 마 가서래 미지 그래서 님을 깨야로고 애는 창동 아라동 가서서 로사가 쉬고도 짝래 겹지